What are the benefits of being in youth entrepreneurs?
Youth Entrepreneurs gives our students and alumni an opportunity to grow their understanding of what it means to be an entrepreneur in their city and in other cities throughout Kansas and Missouri. It gives them an opportunity to know that they don't have to follow someone else's business plan. If they want to create something of their own, if they have their own dreams and passions, they can pursue those. So it's just a really neat hands-on opportunity.
The benefits of being in Youth Entrepreneurs is that you get business connections and you learn a lot of life skills.
It's opened my mind to a lot of new business possibilities, and I've made a lot of acquaintances that can hopefully help me in the future with any of my business.
I think Youth Entrepreneurs really teaches you life skills and teaches you how to just be a better person in general, and it's got really good networking, and it's just really good for you.
So what was your favorite thing about being in Youth Entrepreneurs?
My favorite thing was market day. I liked that we were able to come up with our own food to sell, and we were able to interview people of what they would like and put that into what we were going to do. And it was a great day. We made a lot of money. We learned how to handle business. I work in a restaurant, so I kind of got an idea of how it works with profit and buying your product, and it was fun.
Would you want to be an entrepreneur in the future?
Yes.
Why?
I want to be an entrepreneur in the future because you get to make your own money and be the boss of what you want to do. So
I would definitely like to own my own business and be my own boss.
Yeah, I actually want to go into the healthcare system, and I want to be able to take that and have my own practice.
So what is your business?
As a daycare and a tutor session, I help kids out from age 1 to 5. During the morning I do daycare, and during the evening I do a tutor session if they need help on letters or numbers or colorings, any type of things that they need help on. And we can improve their number by learning with the cars and flip numbers and everything that they have, as well as coloring and shapes and size.
So my path, my entrepreneurial history, it wasn't typical. You always hear about the kid that had the amazing lemonade stand and went on to have this successful business. Or just the other day I read about the girl in Oklahoma that broke the record for the number of Girl Scout cookies sold. She'll probably go on to run some Fortune 500 company. Mine wasn't like that. I actually wanted to be a doctor. And I should have known, my dad of all people, I think he was trying to push me a little bit into being a business owner, because there was one business he wanted me to start as a kid, and you're going to know what this is. He wanted me to start a business scooping poop in Garden City. And I thought, this business owner thing is for birds. There's got to be a better way. So I wanted to be a doctor. So I went to college, and I was in pre-med. And that lasted all of about a semester when I got my 2 first D's ever. College chemistry and chem lab. And I thought, geez, I don't think this is for me. So like my dad said, I went to Miami University of Ohio, and they happen to have a very good business school, nationally known. And they also have an entrepreneurship program that you can minor in. And so I got into that program in business school, and I got into the entrepreneurship minor. And I guess you could say I found my niche. It was something I was passionate about. So, of course, like you do in college, you work and you graduate to get a job. And I didn't really want a job. I wanted to start my own business. But my dad taught me one of the many things, is if you want to be in business for yourself, you need to work for somebody else. So I did. So I got a job in Chicago. And the problem is that I graduated college and I had 6 months before I started my first job in Chicago. So I thought, what the heck am I going to do for 6 months? So, like any know-it-all 22-year-old does, I decided to move back to Garden City and start a barbecue restaurant, which sounds like a great idea. And so I packed up my bags in Ohio and made the trek to Garden City, and on my way I stopped in Kansas City and bought one of those huge $15,000 barbecue smokers that you pull behind your car. And I'd done a bunch of research, and read everything there was to know, and I flew down to Houston, Texas to the barbecue convention and picked the brain of a bunch of barbecue owners, barbecue restaurant owners, and because I just had this feeling that Garden City had this need for barbecue, so I thought, what a great idea. And of course it was kind of a silly idea. I had 6 months, but I didn't care. I was young, and so I came back and I partnered with another business here in town that owned the meat packing plant or the processor, and he wanted to be in the barbecue business as well, but he didn't really want to do it, the restaurant side, so I partnered with him and I ran the barbecue, and you know what, it worked, and I got my first little taste of creating something all by yourself, just that first little taste, and I was hooked. Well, of course, we didn't make any money in 6 months. About the time it started to be successful, it was the end of 6 months and I had to leave town. So luckily I was able to pass that on, and I passed it on, and now Plank's Barbecue is still in operation on Fulton Street. I'm sure many of you have been there. Well, it used to be Fank's Barbecue, but luckily their name was like mine, so they just changed a couple letters. But so I went to Chicago and I got a real job, and it was great. It was a company called CDW. I don't know if you've seen, they're a national advertiser, big Fortune 500 company. They sell technology products to businesses and universities and hardware and software type stuff. But the good thing was they had an amazing sales training program. And I can't tell you how vitally important that is to learn how to sell in business. And so I was there, and I started with a group of about 50 other people in the sales program, and at the end of the year I was number 2 for production. And so on my, almost to the day, on my year anniversary with the company, I went into my manager's office and I said, Brad, I quit. I'm not passionate about it. I don't have the, I have to be doing something on my own. He looked at me and he said, what, you're crazy. I mean, you're doing well and you can be successful in this. And I said, I just don't have the passion for it. So I left and I moved to Kansas City, where I've always wanted to live, and I was 23 at the time. Of course, thought I knew everything in the world. I moved to Kansas City and I didn't have a job. I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, but I didn't care. So I came back to Kansas City and I waited tables and bartended just to pay the bills, and I created my second little company called Adonis Apparel. And Adonis Apparel was something that I just had this feeling that this kind of vintage, retro, collegiate apparel thing was going to be the next big deal. So I did a bunch of research and learned everything I could about it, and found this company in Los Angeles that made these real kind of vintage thin t-shirts. So I bought a bunch of those, and I had a buddy who was a graphic designer, and he created these real cool KU and K-State graphics that were very vintage and 70s and 80s looking. And so that started, and we started selling stuff, and I'd go to fraternities and sororities and make connections and present and sell, and people were loving it. It was great. And I got my first big break, I thought, with Adonis Apparel in this company called Jock Snitch in Lawrence. They've got a few stores. They wanted to buy a big order of my stuff and put it in their stores. And I thought, man, this is great. So I found a screen printer to print the shirts, and I gave them everything, told them exactly the way I wanted it. And I go to pick up the shirts, and they're all wrong. The whole batch. I had these big designs, and they printed these little tiny things on the shirt, and I thought, what in the world? And I was crushed. I was like 23, you know, and you feel like your dreams just shattered, and I didn't have the maturity or the fight to push through, and so I kind of quit. I'm not proud of it, but that's what I did. And so I got another real job, and it was in the financial business. I was a financial advisor in Kansas City, and the hardest job I've ever had, but it taught me how to sell again. And it was cold call after cold call, and numbers and numbers and numbers. And you know what? I was pretty good at it. There was about 20 of us that started together, and I was number 1 as far as production. And so after about a year and a half, I went into my boss's office and I said, Carrie, I quit. I just don't have it in me. And he looked at me and he said, "What are you talking about? You can make a career out of this. This could be great. You can make all kinds of money." And I said, "I don't care. It's not my passion." So at that point, that was 2006. I was 26 years old. Some of you guys are, 17, 18? I was 26. Didn't know a darn thing about anything, but I made the leap, and I actually acquired a business called Excel Lighting in 2006, and it's what I do today. I stuck with it. Excel Lighting, I bought it from a guy who was, I learned this after I bought it from him, he was a real crook, and he didn't pay his bills, and he didn't treat he stole his customers from me, and I thought, what in the world? I can't catch a break, but you know what? I fought through it that time, and Excel Lighting in 2006. In 2007, I started planetbulb.com, which is why you see all these light bulbs everywhere with my name. Well, I had these relationships with vendors and suppliers all over the country that I was buying from for my lighting, Excel Lighting. And I thought, man, there's got to be another way to move some more of this product online. So I started planetbulb.com. Planetbulb.com today is my largest business as far as sales volume. We have 2 full-time employees, a couple part-time, and we push over $1 million of light bulbs out the door a year with 2 employees. Light bulbs. These are specialty kind of light bulbs. It's not the stuff you go to Lowe's and Home Depot to buy. This is like this projector you see above you. We sell the replacement bulb for that, or we sell a lot of medical equipment, microscope bulbs, and we sell a lot of stage and studio lighting, like the kind of lights that shine on a concert, the big bright lights. These are $1,000, $2,000, dollars a piece, some of them. And I've grown Excel Lighting, and now it's Excel Lighting and Sign, and we make and fabricate and install signage. We work with about 55 McDonald's restaurants in Kansas City and all the Burger Kings, even the Burger Kings out here in Garden City. We're real entrenched in the fast food market. So that business has grown, and I spend about 50% of my time on Excel Lighting and Sign, and I spend about 50% of my time on Planet Bulb. And so I've taken them to a point now where it's enjoyable to me, and I've fought through the hard times. There was a lot of hard times. I'll discuss some of that as we get a little further along here. But so, looking back, I've made some bad decisions, no doubt, and I've made some good decisions. But I'll tell you, most importantly, I've learned a ton. And I've learned some important lessons, and I want to talk to you now about 3 traits that I feel like I've been fortunate enough to learn that are vitally important, especially to young entrepreneurs. So, what 3 traits? Personality, tenacity, and mentality. What do I mean by personality? There's a big emphasis tonight, I noticed, on networking. Well, when you're in business, your personality is everything. You are essentially a walking billboard for your company. So wherever you go, these events, the coffee shop, in front of your customers, your vendors, wherever you go, you are a walking billboard for your company. So, another thing that my dad taught me, you'll see a theme here, he's taught me a lot. He taught me that people do business with people they like. More than anything. It doesn't matter what your price is, it doesn't matter how much you know about your business or your service or whatever it is, people do business with people they like. So, your personality is everything in the business, and you have to keep that in mind. One thing that I've learned is that I adjust my personality to my audience, meaning some people I'm in front of, customers, they're really excited and amped up, they may cuss a lot, and think they're real funny, and so you have to bring your level, your personality up to their level, because that's what they want. You want to mesh with them. On the flip side of that, a lot of people I talk to are very quiet and subdued and to the point, and so you bring your personality down. And I've learned that if you can adjust your personality to your audience and your customer, it goes so far in business and in sales, which is at the end of the game what it's all about. The second trait, tenacity. What do I mean tenacity? Tenacity is being determined beyond belief to accomplish something. Key to entrepreneurs. In my world, I equated, my dad talked a little bit about sports, I equate it to competitiveness, tenacity and competitiveness. Those of you in this room that know me from when I grew up, I was extremely competitive, to a fault. But it's something in me, like it's everything to me is competitive. Ask my wife, I have to tone it down for her. But, you know, now, in my competitiveness isn't necessarily in sports, because I'm too old and fat, but it's in business. So, when my competition is sleeping in till 9:30 or 10 and thinking it's gravy, they own a business, I'm up every day at 6 or 6:30 in my office, doing the little things to make my company just that much better than the competition. Or when they're out whining and dining their customers and taking fancy lunches, I eat my lunch every day in 5 minutes at my desk. I don't take a lunch. It's just, I eat because I'm hungry. It's not like I need a break during the day. So the little things, the tenacity, the competitiveness that I have, I don't even think about it anymore. It's just, it's part of me. It's who I am. Ask my dad how many times when I was growing up that he had to wake me up for school. Not once. Because there's something in me that you just have to get up and go, and I want to be the first one there. I wanted to be the first one at school. I hate being late. It's the competitiveness, the tenacity that drives you. And also, it's how do you react when you hit the wall? Everybody does it. I guarantee you, everybody that's in business in this room has hit the wall. Some days you feel like quitting. You feel like going home. It's been a terrible day. Some customer screamed in your face. What do you do? I ask myself, when I hit that wall, I ask myself this question. What can I do to make my company better today? And it gets me out of that funk, and my tenacity drives me to fight through that wall. Trust me, it's tenacity and work ethic will far outweigh any skill or talent in the business world. I guarantee you, I didn't know a thing about my lighting or signs or light bulbs when I got started. Didn't know a thing about it. And people ask me all the time, how'd you get into selling light bulbs? And my answer is, I have no idea. But I worked my tail off to learn everything I could. And I had the tenacity and the competitiveness to be good at what I did. And it paid off. So don't ever be afraid to get into business to get into a business that is something you don't feel like you're an expert in. Ask anybody that started a business, some of these people in this room, and I bet you on day one they didn't have a clue about what they were doing or what they were talking about. But the tenacity and the hard work pays off. So it brings me to my last trait that I want to talk about, and that is mentality. Mentality is defined as your way of thinking or your mental attitude. The best part for me about being an entrepreneur is I have a choice every day when I wake up. What do I want to do today? There's nobody that tells me I need to be at this staff meeting or I need to have this Excel spreadsheet done at this time. Every day I have a choice. So as a business owner, your mentality is, most people I know that are in business have the mentality of, oh, this is great. You know, I can take it easy today, or this owning the business thing is really easy. Well, it can be the hardest thing about being an entrepreneur is having that choice, because you start to fall into that, what I just talked about. You don't have the mentality to wake up every day and control your own destiny. So I hear it all the time, you know, it's the things that get in your way that mess with your mentality is, you know, there's not enough time, I don't have time to do that, or there's too many competitors, or my favorite one is the economy, you know, oh, the economy's bad. Well, I have the mentality that I don't participate in the recession of the past. There's so much opportunity that if the recession has taken a customer away from me, then my mentality is well, let's just go find another customer to replace that. Or let's diversify and get into this business so I can make up that lost income from the recession. Your mentality means a lot as an entrepreneur. And like I say, you have a choice. Do you want to be a creator and an entrepreneur, or do you want to be a follower? It's a choice you have. The second part about mentality I want to talk about is something that I learned from another speaker on entrepreneurship, and it's, do you have the mentality of a bricklayer or a wall builder? What do I mean? A wall builder wants to throw the wall up as fast as they can. They want everything right now in business. It's too much too soon. You know, a lot of people think business is this big get-rich-quick scheme. I'm telling you, it's not. They get disappointed quickly. They want to drive the fanciest cars. They want to have everything. Right now, it's the mentality, I want to get into business. Let's just throw our wall up. Well, my mentality is that of a bricklayer. I take one brick every day and start at the bottom and lay one brick. And the next day, you take another brick and you lay it as perfectly as you can. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And if you have that mentality of a bricklayer, soon you will have a wall. You know, Warren Buffett, who I'm sure all of you know, once said, and I think this is an amazing quote, he says, it takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to run it. And if you think about that, you'll do things differently. You know, I'm still building my wall, and I look at my wall as a 30-year kind of progression. I mean, I'm just very early on. I'm 34 years old. I've been in business for, since I was 26, so very early. It hasn't been as fast as I've wanted, and it hasn't been as sexy as some businesses you read about. I mean, I sell light bulbs. But, and sometimes I think the wall is going to cave in. A lot of times I think the wall is going to cave in. But you have the mentality and the tenacity to keep building it. And soon you will have your wall. In closing, I looked at previous speakers. Quite frankly, it's an impressive list, one that I feel a little undeserving to be here. But I noticed one difference in some of the speakers of the past, and that is they're at the peak or the pinnacle of their business career. Essentially, their wall has been built. But me, I'm still right here building my wall like I talked about, one brick at a time. And I'll get there, I'll get the wall built, and it'll take time, but I have the fight and the competitiveness and the tenacity and mentality like I talked about to complete my wall. And I will tell you that all of you youth entrepreneurs can build an incredible wall with that belief and that passion. Thank you.